Playing with a purpose. Obviously, every game can be a chance to grow. If you think about animals, they play with each other, and that's how they learn their survival skills or just how to play. So my thing is, if we allow children to play, then they'll learn those social, emotional, math, ELA. They'll learn all those aspects that they need they may even learn it earlier. So the same thing with bears, kids will learn how to hone in on those amazing skills. And so the challenge we face is there's way too much free play without any structure. It's not any structure, and it might be too rigid, where I used to be a Montessori teacher for religious ed, and it was very, you have to do this and then this and then this. And yes, the kids are playing and learning the material and learning the works in the atrium, but they're not finding the joy in it, is the best way that I can say it. Also, our educators are stressed, underpaid and overworked. And parents want to send their kids to a school where they'll have fun, but they'll also get that education that's needed. So there is that bit of struggle with parents wanting to just drop off their kids to a regular play school or preschool if they're just playing rather than learning. So with this, they would so the gap is play loses its power if it's just playing, if there's no rhyme or reason behind it. Teachers also need like the structure and what it says, the framework to be able to make that classroom and that play flow so that it meets the standards needed for the state. We're accredited by Cognia, so it meets those Cognia standards as well. And parents need to be able to see the progress, whether that's learning how to wipe a table, clean a table, and they can help out at home as well. So it's practical life, math, STEM, everything. So the solution is playing with a purpose framework. I'll just read this off of the slide. Every activity is intentional, having specific learning goals in mind that also align to state standards, academy standards, or whoever the school would be accredited through if they're accredited. The kids learn through joy. Playing kitchen. My kids played kitchen in their play kitchen and then wanted to help me cook. Or my youngest daughter, Addie, had our teacher, Miss Sayoko. They made applesauce. She wants to come home and show me how to make applesauce. If we provide simple prompts and tools to help the teachers in this kind of curriculum, then it would be super easy to understand, and parents will be able to make that connection as to why play is so important and not just sitting at a table and doing work after work or worksheet after worksheet or just going outside and doing nothing, if that makes any sense. So one of the examples is a grocery store. So you can see the kids are playing grocery, they're counting money, they're adding vegetables and everything that they're purchasing in the grocery store, counting it up, taking turns. And a great teacher prompt that I have in there is, how many apples do I need if I'm going to make an apple pie? So they're not really making an apple pie, but they say, okay, well, you need 2 apples and a peach, just something silly like that. It's also teaching them real world systems, organization, and responsibility. So they need to know to clean it up, keeping things nice. The next one is building blocks. So that's huge math stuff right there. Shapes, maybe even symmetry, relationship to space. And it's also an engineering tool, so STEM as well. And the teacher prompt would be, what could make your bridge stronger so it can hold more cars? Or how can you make your building taller? It also teaches them resilience. So if their building falls down, they know that they can figure out what they did wrong, not wrong, but what did not work, so that they're able to make it bigger and better, and build more. My favorite is a sensory table. This is a great way. It's not just like touching and feeling, but it's also smelling and counting and, again, taking turns and being able to ask open-ended questions. You can in all of these examples, but really with the sensory table, what happens when you pour water in the sand? Let's try it together. And they can actually see like the water either making it a different color or being able to move it a little bit better. So the benefits of playing with a purpose are holistic development for children, being able to have those practical life skills, math skills, social emotional skills. For teachers, it's pretty easy to use and they can do it confidently. and it will help show not just the personal growth for them, but they'll be able to document the personal growth of each student, and parents will be able to see that as well. So it's pretty easy to implement into centers. We train the staff, slowly integrate it daily, but not like, let's do this, training them. Giving them a resource kit, whether it's curriculum and other tools or just curriculum, letting families know what is going on and how they can engage with them at night, and then making sure that they are aligned to meet state standards and Cognia or any other accreditation standards as well. So, like I said before, every playful moment is a chance to grow. That's what I think.
I'm a little biased for those. Yeah. There you go. We have the sound effects. I forgot. I am a little biased for those out there. Jessica is the director of one of my schools and the one I live closest to, which is amazing. But, I do want to say, Jess, that like initially, as you were talking about this idea, I didn't think, I guess my point is now that you've explained it, there is such a lack of intentional play content and curriculum. Typically you have like preschools that are, hey, we're play based. Well, what does that mean, right? Is there something that you think of play like open-ended play, right? And what I think you're talking about is allowing for open-ended play within the confines of like a task or a topic or a concept.
So a great example, and I'll use Sayoko again. Sayoko is our kindergarten prep teacher. One of the themes is apples, and that's usually the beginning of the year, September, when you can go pick them. She'll ask for families to bring in apples. They'll taste the apples. They'll talk about the different colors, the different sizes, the different tastes, and whether they're sour, sweet, tart, all that. And then they will cut them up and they'll cut them up together and peel them, and then they will make an applesauce. And we actually had it yesterday. It was really good.
But even thinking about like elaborating on your idea is like even thinking about making an apple pie, right? Like that's the actual activity. But then it's like you're already doing it. It's like prompts that teachers can use to instill further learning moments. And if you think about that too, how applicable for parents that would be at home that are doing something with their kids that have no idea that maybe what they're doing is such a learning moment in different ways. They just need to be unlocked with that prompt, I think
love
it's
the
great.
animal connection too, because like I have a little homestead and I sit around and watch my animals grow and teach each other. And that was a light bulb moment for me when you did the bear example, because none of the animals that I've ever been around have played for the sake of play. It is always play with purpose, and there's always learning taking place. And if you're wrestling, you're learning how to defend yourself against an attack. Or if you're stalking and chasing another cat, you're looking how to hunt, climbing the trees, escape. It's all purpose-based. And, humans might be the only people or the only entity on earth that just forgets that there's a purpose behind everything. And we just start to play and forget that. But that's such a crucial thing. I love it that, the animal connection's the light bulb moment for me, because I've seen it all over the place, and it's just play with purpose. It's so simple and straightforward, but our whole society has just forgotten about it.
Yeah, it seems to be like the gentle parenting version of school, which is, what is it? Play-based. Like that is such like the, oh, they don't really need to do anything expectation, saying that. And I think playing with purpose, I think for you, Jess, to know that like the next steps with this are to, if you're willing and down to, is we put this whole thing on a fundraising page, and then the fundraising page gets pushed out not only to our network, but then externally you can share it out with anyone. And then we're working on private donations that also inform funding these. So there's multiple different funding sources, and a funding for something like this is, in my mind, some kind of publishing, right? Like taking this idea and either making a book or even just, having it live on a platform, you know what I mean? And whether that platform is something like Beluga, which I think would probably fit in their PBL, because really like a play-based playing with purpose activity, I think is somewhat of a PBL in the sense of like a project in like you're giving them an open-ended task. They're going off and playing and doing it. You're prompting them with the different things that incite bigger learning moments. I just think there's a lot of opportunity, but we refer to it as the second lap. And so like the second lap is really ensuring that this project happens. because we have investment in it in the sense of we want to share your story. And sharing your story gets us more fellows to share more stories. So,
And I'm sorry. And I personally feel like this, maybe not infants, maybe it could be like down the line if like work it out. But I know when I was in the classroom, I would intentionally leave some little bit of mess on the tables when I was with the older twos. And then I would give them a bottle full of one or two kids, like a wet sponge and then a bottle full of soapy water. And they would just spray and wipe and spray and wipe. And then one would grab a broom and they would try. Didn't always work well, but they would try and sweep up the crumbs. And there was some bickering, but they learned how to take turns. I mean, just another example of.
I think teachers need that, especially at our age group, right? In early
Yeah.
childhood, I think teachers need to know that, yes, having your kids run amok in the classroom, that's great. But if you can actually put an intention into that, that's where play becomes really powerful, is because the adult has the wisdom to apply the intention. The children are going to be naturally learning but you can help rein them in when they get too far off. You know what I mean? I love it.
One kind
Jim,
of
do you have anything else?
fascinating, I was going to say, one kind of fascinating thing there is it's almost like your traditional PBL, you start off with the project defined and the goal, and then you go out and explore. And this to me almost seems like an opportunity to focus more on the exploration and almost at the end reflect, well, what was this project about? What was this play about? And what did we take away from it? And it just gives such a different perspective on the project-based learning.
That's actually interesting too, of how to inform new ideas is when you do have these, let's say you go outside and it's very open, there's no intention, but you have that big, and maybe like a teachable moment happens and you're able to then think of, oh, I didn't ever think that I would have a shelter lesson out of going into the woods and seeing a fox's den, or, you know what I mean? Like also help to inform new curriculum and content.
Yeah, it's like play with purpose, project-based learning, and then it's almost like a framework for developing, new innovation ideas around PBL and making those connections that, we're not going to think about a fox den as a learning opportunity until we stumble upon it and a kid says, "What's that?" And we start Googling it. And as a class, we figure it out. But once we make that connection, now we know, hey, we can go look at birds' nests and fox dens and river habitats, and it just makes that connection for us. So it's almost like for the children exploring and fun and the project-based learning with purpose, but then for the educator at the end, it informs new curriculum, new ideas, new bridges, new connection points, new projects.
And I feel like it could be, well, it can be like 50-50 teacher led as well as child led. Yeah. If not, more than 50-50.
It's almost like you want to, even in the content being pushed out, like code it that way in the sense of teacher led, playing with purpose, and then child led playing with purpose, because the formatting of that is created for the teacher led. For the student led, you're documenting and reflecting. And then from that reflection drives more of the teacher led. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Great job, dude.
Thanks.
What we do now is you get a certificate. You've graduated the fellowship. You're now a Thinkering fellow, but that's not the end of it. We really like to think of it as like the beginning. So now you have access through, and soon to be up and running, our Thinkerbot portal. So you'll have access to that, which will then put you in touch with all of our network relevant to what you do so that you can reach out, ask for things, everyone in our network partner-wise is attuned to helping you. So the other aspect of it is, again, this applies to professional development, which is what we need. This could probably equal most, if not all of it. But, also opportunities in the future to support other fellowships. So maybe being a mentor for early childhood and working with other early childhood teachers, or there's just a million different opportunities that come from it. And whereas the first, what we call Into the Wild Thinkering Fellowship is completed, like 10 years down the road, it's going to actually mean something when you look back and they're like, oh, you had the first fellowship badge. And like that's our intention. It's already growing exponentially. So
Yeah.
We're excited, and thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I love the energy.
Blah, blah, blah. love the term thinkering, and will definitely use it in my classroom. The kids will love it.
This is where we can be that peer support network with each other. When the big picture clicks, it's beautiful when you get administrators and teachers together.
You can't be a leader of other people if you can't first lead yourself, right?
Help the educator have a very clear and structured framework.
Becomes this real community hub. If you're a great educator, you're looking for the most powerful moment. Can we inspire kids to believe that the world needs who they were made to be?
I hope that you guys continue to uphold that legacy and continue, finding kids like you.